Fortnite just officially kicked off its massive live event with an insane Voyager invasion of the island. The worlds are finally colliding, and the consequences can never be undone. This year's storyline is easily some of the best Fortnite lore we've ever seen, because it mashes up awesome characters with a massive all-out war between two sides and an omniverse invasion. I'm betting my last V-Buck this is all leading to a wild finale event that'll be worth the hype, so let me break down what you need to know. At the beginning of Chapter 7, a dark Voyager ship known as the Dark Harvester began wreaking havoc across the island. Its primary mission was to collect zero-point fragments in order to rebuild it. But that's easier said than done, so this cube guy teams up with the Ice King, who is basically the heavy hitter of the Fortnite Omniverse and can freeze anyone no matter what reality they're from. To shut them down, Hope and Jones teamed up with the Order. The Seven are basically the Avengers of Fortnite fighting for multiversal freedom, but the group split up years ago. The Order puts out a call that brings back the Visitor, but he isn't the guy she remembers. Still, he joins the squad, and the four of them go looking for their leader, the Foundation, who was stuck like a popsicle in the Ice King's castle. Luckily, his tracker and heat suit let him break out, which kicked off a massive revenge war between Team Foundation and Team Ice King. That's the vibe as Season 2 kicks off, and every character has a clear side they're repping. On the Seven side, the Visitor is obviously ride or die for the Foundation though. He admits he and the Order don't exactly see eye to eye yet. The Order says she trusts the leader, but isn't vibing with the Visitor either, though she knows he's got her back. She's also stoked to have Hope on the team, who showed up with Jones. Speaking of Jones, he's always acting like he's doing the heavy lifting while we do all the actual work. If you talk to Jones in the actual game, he mentions the Visitor has a boss, which is a big deal for later. To get the scoop on the Foundation side, we talk to Jules from the Elite, who used to be tight with Dasha from the other camp. The Elite are interesting because even though they seem like they're helping the Seven, they don't actually take sides. They just want the best of the best, and honestly think the Ice King and Foundation are too emotional to make the cut. The Foundation says the Ice King's whole deal is protecting reality from dangerous relics, which is exactly what the Ice King used to say back in the day. The big mystery is why he's teaming up with the Voyager now. He probably knows the 0 point is like a ticking time bomb if the wrong people grab it, and I think the missions for the Ice side will give us the answer. His squad includes the Ice Queen, who is his right hand, and even though she's not here yet, we know she's part of the royal family. Then there's Dasha, who we thought was with the Ice King, but she's actually a former Imagined Order worker, who just hates the Seven as much as everyone else at her old job did. She's a free agent right now, and even breaks the fourth wall like Deadpool, acting like she knows someone is literally writing her story. The Ice King's biggest allies are the Squibble Society, who are all over the island running shops. The most interesting one is a squid who absolutely despises Fishstick and wants him gone. He joined the Ice King because he was promised enough power to finally take out that intruder Fishstick, which the Ice King thought was hilarious. These two are basically the comic relief of the season, even though they're rivals. Fishstick is his usual goofy self and doesn't even recognize the squids, probably because he's a bit of a space cadet, or maybe because of that 0 point memory loss stuff from the comics. He even mentions wanting to visit the squids, which would probably end in him getting deleted. The real road to the finale is the Ice King's missions, where he has us bugging the Seven, the Elite, and the Voyager. He's likely keeping the Voyager close just to jump him and take the 0 point once it's fixed, so he can keep it safe his way. Listening to the wiretaps, the Foundation wants to take out the Ice King, while the Order focuses on the Voyager. The Voyager's recording shows he's just a pawn for a bigger boss in the last reality army, which could be the Cube Queen, or maybe even Gino, the big bad Fortnite has been teasing for 7 years. The Elite recordings show Jules and Zaddy are worried about a threat that's likely Gino's crew, especially with the new arena mode. There's even a loading screen showing the Elite fighting Lexa in a spot with the Gino-related Oathbound logo. Back on the Seven side, the Foundation has us scouting the map and grabbing his gear so it doesn't fall into the wrong hands. We also have to sabotage the Ice King's castle, so he can't spy on the island anymore. While the leaders are duking it out, the Voyager is still collecting fragments in the background, like he's playing a different game entirely. We're only 3 weeks into the season, but we're already hearing cryptic logs about the original Seven members, like the Imagined, and the origin being victims of the Chrome.
Password: Sanctuary. Access granted. Welcome to the Seven secure audio server. Now decrypting Status reports of all 7 members.
It's still early days, but I'll be covering every bit of this crazy story as it drops. It looks like this whole season is going to be focused on 2 major things: getting the 0 point back in action and rounding up the 7. There's one big ice-cold wildcard though, and that's the Ice King, who's going to be throwing serious wrenches in the works. Data miners have already dropped the scoop that we're getting a full-blown, huge event at the end of the season, which is June 5th. The fact that the season wraps up on a Friday, when we usually get a seriously massive event, is another major hint. Plus, there are a ton of clues pointing to an absolute cinematic blowout. I could totally break down all those story bits, so smash that like button if you're down for it. Now, if you head back into the snowy biome, just west of the castle, you can find the Dark Voyager's favorite build kit, a 0 point shard. There are 3 of these shards scattered across the island. One at the Ice King's castle, one in Squibbly Shores, and one in the Grove by New Sanctuary. Each one messes with reality, giving you different effects. In the winter biome, it freezes your feet. At the shores, it lowers gravity. And in the Grove, it gives you 0 point dash charges. And of course, you can use any of these shards as a rift. By the way, there's a cool Easter egg right near that shard. Ever played curling? If not, now you can do it right in Fortnite. Though for some reason they've got cones instead of stones here. If anyone knows what the deal is with that, enlighten me. So, the goal is to land that cone right in the bullseye, and you'll get a whole mess of loot for it. So, is it worth the grind for that not-so-great loot? Personally, I doubt it, but if the storm isn't breathing down your neck, it's a cool one-time thing to try. The Ice King's snowstorms also hit Latte Landing, where the locals are now bundling up big time. The lake, which used to be a literal drain for gallons of coffee, has frozen over, so the people there have a new jam: ice fishing. Honestly, I like the spot way better this way. Meanwhile, at Sauce Studio, digging has suddenly started, and what the excavators uncovered there totally freaked me out. Who would have thought there was a massive hidden flying saucer under the island all this whole time? Most likely that weird studio is filming another episode of their banger series about Peelians. The biggest clue is the banana sitting in the UFO's cockpit, or more accurately, its peel. But this map change could be way deeper than it seems at first glance. And here's what I want to know. How many V-Bucks did they pay that banana for its role as an extra? They pay them in V-Bucks, right? Back to the second location of the 0 point shard, the Squibbly Shores. The place seriously gives off that Chapter 2 beach vibe. Maybe it's the sheer number of seafood restaurants proudly displaying the head of our old pal Rat. Wait, my bad, I meant Fish Stick. And they are, to put it mildly, not happy with Fish Stick here. You can tell from all the signs and billboards. If you're out of the loop on why, honestly, he deserves it. Due to Fish Stick's seriously shady move at the end of last season, when he ratted out the location of his home universe to the Dark Voyager, Cubehead was able to port a shard over to our island. This totally stripped the locals of their most vital resource: water. So now, all the local restaurants mainly specialize in cooking up fish sticks. Seems fair to me. What do you think? While you could argue Fish Stick didn't have a choice, things have gotten so bad, they even have a factory here that makes rectangular fish stick. Yep, that's how the locals blow off steam. By the way, right on the counter here, you can find free fish of various types that have been missing for, 8 seasons? You can thank Fish Stick for bringing the fish back by hitting the like button. You can also spot a statue of the village's founding father, and it looks like this distant relative of the Squibbly might show up later as a new skin. Overall, the Squibbly Shores is a huge fishing village, and its main claim to fame is a massive lighthouse that gives you a view of the entire location. It also hides one of the new season secrets. If you manage to fish a key card out of a special spot around the lighthouse, you can snag some fat loot right at the start of the match. In the southwest section, our old buddies, the Corals, are chilling out in their castle with a spa. Right next door, a gnome and U-Bot party is going down. It's nice to see some familiar faces, right? On the absolute furthest western edge of the spot, looking totally exiled and punished, stands the legendary Fish Stick restaurant. A dialogue with Fish Stick makes it clear that after his kidnapping and interrogation, Dark Voyager wiped his memory. He has no clue that all the locals are totally out to get him. And I'm afraid if he actually decides to swim over and say hi, we might never see him again. Ruins of the Coral Fortress from Chapter 2 are scattered throughout almost the entire biome. Man, so much water has passed under the bridge since then, both literally and figuratively. And here's the culprit for all this chaos, one of the 3 0-point shards. I don't know about you, but I think this spot is a solid A+. The remaining 2 locations are mostly just reworks of old ones. Voyager has completely taken over the Lethal Lab, turning it into his personal headquarters. So now it's called the Dark Dominion. Cubehead got style, you have to admit. He also looks like he spent a ton of V-Bucks on spreading his cubic propaganda. There are posters and billboards all over the spot, urging people to join the Voyager crew. I especially love the one where he tells us, "Be grateful, because it could have been worse." Is that, like, a shot at Epic? Is he the one who's going to break the news about V-Buck price hikes? It sure looks like it. And seriously, is there anyone out there who actually supports Cubehead? It's clear that Voyager is planning to fully reassemble the 0 point. To do that, he's upgraded the shard containment device and put up extra panels and some kind of alien antennas all over the location, probably to get a better signal to other realities. But Voyager himself isn't home yet. Judging by the rift above the station, he's off searching for the final 7th 0-point shard. And so his place doesn't turn into a total free-for-all. He left his Echo, who's become the local boss. This part-time security guard can summon some seriously annoying combat drones. Good thing they're lacking in the aim and brainpower departments. To stand a chance against the alliance between the Voyager and the Ice King, we're gonna need some allies too. Remember back in OG Season 5 when the Red Kevin the Cube emerged from the rift, changing the rift's behavior and all the runes. For weeks, this cube rolled across the OG island, leaving behind those wicked red runes. Every so often, the moon would change colors from red to finally settle on purple, and the same thing happened to the bunker. Eventually, the red cube slid into Loot Lake. But what's the big deal with all this? Over the last 3 OG seasons, the descriptions for the Visitor, My Favorite Drift, and all other skins all contain the word unknown, which highlights how important the unknown reality, where the OG island is located, really is. Strangely enough, Kevin's island reverted to its original purple color in Season 6. That's because the red rift energy was moved beneath the island, reaching the 0 point's core. This led to the Red Kevin the Cube showing up during the Butterfly event. However, before that happened, a whisper of the Titans echoed from the bunker. I think this was a nod to the Dark Presence, a Titan we were about to fight. It's a pretty big deal because the word on the street is that the Red Butterfly was sent to the OG reality by none other than the Dark Presence way back in Season 4. But the Dark Presence was actually used by someone even darker to send that butterfly. This brings us to the Butterfly event, which, just like 6 years ago, started with the cube exploding. This time though, after visiting the in-between, the red cube was still there. If you look closer, you can see it turned several of the dimensional lines red, and even weirder, energy pulsed out from the 0 point's core through them, unlike the others. For those who don't know, the in-between is a separate dimension inside the 0 point. The lines you see are the existing realities, and this dimension is one giant circle connecting every single reality to the 0 point as its core. This tells us that the red cube is responsible for messing with several realities. So, how did the cube get to the in-between? My guess is that the cube somehow duplicated itself while entering Loot Lake, creating 2 versions, one purple and one red. Then, less than a week before the biggest event in Fortnite history, the 0 Hour, the red cube that appeared during the event is 100% from the OG reality, which perfectly explains the Titans and 0 Hour messages encoded in Morse code. But there's one question left. How did Jonesy know the red cube existed? Honestly, I don't think he knew at all. All he wanted was to teleport the old purple Kevin he remembered from Chapter 1. However, all the changes in the current OG reality led to the new red cube being brought in. Despite its different look, it got the job done and ended the Dark Presence. Since the OG Battle Passes dropped, almost every season has had hints about something called the Unknown. In each season, a character had dialogue about it. Drift said we should seek the unknown, and Lynx tells us to check out what the unknown has to offer, and investigate your unknown surroundings. Overall, Lynx's introduction brought us closer to solving the mystery of what the unknown is. We now have 100% confirmation that it's closely tied to the last reality. Let's move on to the Visitor. Since the start of Chapter 7, we've known that his NPC would return to the Battle Royale Island after many years, and instead of his original skin, it would be the Visitor from OG mode. I don't trust him one bit, because he was most likely manipulated by the last reality. Meanwhile, the Voyager has been hopping through different key realities, snatching up fragments of the 0 point. It definitely looks like he's trying to rebuild it, but he's doing it completely his own way. After freezing the entire island, the Ice King somehow made it over to the Golden Coast, which is the island from the regular Battle Royale mode. This is huge because it officially connects both game modes in a way that is way more concrete than anything we've seen before. Speaking of which, we got this icy biome with castles and all that, which obviously belongs to the Ice King. We see him strolling down a hallway full of incredibly powerful living beings, to put it lightly. It's still up in the air if this is the OG Ice King we've always known, or an alternate version. He's rocking a different skin and look, but it could easily just be the same guy with a fresh coat of paint. Either way, his overall mission seems identical. If you remember, the Ice King was never actually a villain in the lore. The Marvel comics completely cleared his name. His whole vibe was just freezing any artifact or living thing from any reality that posed a massive threat or held too much power. He was never loyal to the Imagined Order or the Seven, he just operated on his own terms. But this specific version of the Ice King might actually be evil by nature. If he ends up teaming up with the Voyager, it's either because he's entering his villain era, or maybe this new version of the Seven are actually the bad guys this time around. There are a ton of possibilities on the table. Next up, we catch a glimpse of the Prisoner, specifically his original version. That tracks, considering they used to be allies from different kingdoms, even though the Prisoner was always obsessed with tweaking realities using universal artifacts. The last time we saw the OG Prisoner was also in the Marvel comics, where he ended up frozen underwater again. But if he's here now, how is the OG mode storyline going to work? Next season, Season 8, is incredibly important because he's the one who summons the volcano and wakes up the Devourer. My bet is that at some point next season, the Prisoner is going to find a way back to the OG island to make all of that happen. We also have Aurelia in the mix, who is related to Marigold, or basically her undead version. Normally I'd think they just dropped that skin in for the aesthetic, but with how much lore Fortnite is packing into this chapter, Aurelia might actually be super relevant next season. She's essentially a guardian against Tomb Raiders. That makes total sense, because if the Ice King is out here freezing artifacts and beings, he'd definitely have to cross paths with the Guardian protecting them. There's also another Captain America skin, though I don't think there's insanely deep lore there. It's probably just flexing a new look for a character whose whole brand is being frozen for ages and waking up as a man out of time. And finally, after all this waiting, we get the Foundation. He's back in different armor, rocking a silver suit and a leather vest. The big question is whether this is our Foundation or an alternate version from the new Seven. Since the alternate Visitor has a totally different helmet design, and the Foundation still has his classic visor, it's probably our guy. Those visor symbols are basically their ancestral branding. It's how you verify the original.